Hello.
Hello.
Someone's been on holiday.
That's me.
That's you. It's definitely not me.
Me. I know. And I've been on the go since like 3:30 this morning. So I thought, well, I've got 5 minutes. I'm gonna go out in the garden in the glorious sunshine that we're having and just have
Glorious.
5 minutes to read my book. So that's what I've just done. So maybe I'm a little bit browner for that 5 minutes.
Yes. Definitely browner than everyone else. Well, me.
Honestly, I love being brown. I love it.
It's so nice, isn't it?
Yeah, but I
There's
won't use
nothing
the
quite
sunbed.
like sitting in the sun with the breeze on you and you can feel the hot sun and
Yeah,
it's just lovely.
I
Although
know.
I have to be in the shade if I'm reading.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I'm not someone that can sit by the pool and
Oh,
read a book unless I'm sitting in the shade.
no. All day long, I could sit by the
Rubbish like
pool
that.
and read my book in the sun. I will follow the sun on the sunbed. I'll turn my bed
Around,
around.
around.
But as amazing as the holiday was, we didn't sunbathe at all. We was full on all the time,
Yeah.
like in the pool, playing with the kids, in the sea, playing with the kids. We didn't like sit down at all. We spent the evenings when the kids went to bed. We went on the balcony, read the book in the evenings, but during the day, I didn't really get any time to relax and sunbathe. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm doing now.
Doing it now. Well, why not? You've been at work today already, so
Yeah.
why the hell not? I'm just not a sunbather. I'm not someone that can just sit in the sun
Oh,
and sunbathe.
I
I
would
can for
melt.
about 10 minutes and then I'm like,
No,
nope.
I would melt into a puddle of goo and just be so satisfied.
Just love it.
Just absolutely loving life.
Yeah.
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 Oh well, I'm
No.
glad to be back though. I have missed
Are
our
you?
poddy.
Oh yeah, I've missed our pod. Yeah, it has felt very strange actually. And everyone that has messaged us
Mm.
over the years, you will know that it's always Sarah that responds to the messages. It's never me. Most of the time, I just don't see them at all unless you normally send me a screenshot, don't you? And you're like,
Mm.
oh, look at this, or look what someone sent us, and things like that. But normally, if it's like a question or things like that, I don't normally see it. However, while I was driving, oh no, I shouldn't say while I was driving. While whilst on my journey, I have my sat nav on my phone,
Mhm.
and I saw a little thing pop up saying like perplexed podcasts, blah blah blah. So I could only see like a couple of lines, but I think it was someone that was quite concerned that we didn't have an episode last week.
I haven't
Did
seen the
you see?
message.
Oh, well, in that case, you will be listening to this. It hasn't been seen. And I thought then, I wonder if because I've seen it and it's popped up on my notifications and I touched it because I was touching my sat nav. I was just coming out of a petrol station and it popped up as I went to send the like information or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So it opened it and I thought, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that. So I quickly closed it. But all I saw was that someone had said, I hope you guys are okay. And I noticed we didn't have an episode last week, so I hope everything's okay. And I
Oh,
thought, oh, we are okay.
we are.
So
Yeah, I haven't.
yeah,
I didn't actually see that message.
it's on. I'm rubbish with these things, but I'm pretty sure it was Facebook Messenger,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was from. It wasn't just from a listener; it was from one of our fans. I'm pretty sure, anyway. There you go. It's from Arletta.
Oh,
And yeah, she just said, hey, lovely humans. I noticed there wasn't a new episode on Wednesday, and now I don't know what to do with my life.
I
Oh,
had that
fair.
actually. One of our another listener, Maddie, she said that she was like, I didn't know what to do with myself on Tuesday.
It's weird, isn't it? Because I must admit, even I went online to make sure that it had uploaded. I'd normally do that on a Tuesday morning.
Mm.
I'll go on and just check that it's been uploaded because it has happened in the past where,
Yeah.
right, that's done. upload it, and then I go to bed because it's like flipping 12 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, and it hasn't uploaded. And then Sarah's messaged me the next morning and gone, Poddy, where's our episode? And I was like, oh shit.
The people are waiting.
Yeah, so it has happened. So I will normally go on and just make sure that it's uploaded. And I went on there and I thought, what am I doing? We haven't even got an episode that's uploaded. So yeah, first time in Perplexed podcast history that we didn't have an episode uploaded, but it was purely because we just needed a little bit of a break.
And I generally wasn't even in the country,
and you weren't even here, so I thought I'm not doing it on my own.
No.
So
well,
yeah.
We have kept our listeners waiting. So shall we crack on?
Sure. Random blams, go. Do you want to do your blam first?
Yep.
Right.
Just actually, you do yours because I just need to. I've just found something, and I just want to double check.
All right. No, fact checking. I like it. My blam pertains to today's episode, and it is about dolls. And some antique dolls were made with real human hair, which we think fine. You know, a lot of us know that that's the case. However, some dolls were made with real hair taken from people that had died.
Yeah,
so
all right.
It wasn't like voluntary hair. It was just like, well, they're not going to use it.
Oh, gosh.
So
might as well.
We'll just snip some of that off and put it on a dolly. That's so, yeah, great. So people's children were literally wandering
with dead people's hair.
With a doll and like brushing the hair of someone that had died. A little macabre, yes.
That's not okay.
It's not, is it?
Mine is not quite as disturbing, but also quite disturbing. I just found out that some lipsticks contain fish scales.
Ew.
Yeah, so then I thought, I'm just going to look that up, though, because that's weird. Because they obviously don't contain...
We've been burned before.
Yeah, I've been burned before. Sometimes the internet lies.
Yes.
So I thought, obviously, they don't contain actual fish scales. So what it is there's a substance in the fish scale called guanine or something like that, and that is used to create the like shimmery effect in the lipsticks. So it's actually a substance from fish scales that are put in lipstick, and then we rub it all over our face.
I don't.
No, I don't either.
I mean, I used to in my younger day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Very occasionally have I worn any form of lipstick, but it's not me.
Well, you got to remember, I was going out in the 90s. So it was all about eyeliner, lip liner, and a bit of lippy. That's pretty much all we used to wear. Because back in the day,
dig out some photos.
We did. Oh God, we didn't have the need for foundations and concealers, contouring, things like that. We were literally like eyeliner on, lip liner on, lipstick out the door. Done.
Bit blush.
No.
Bit of lippy blush.
Don't even know what that is. Not gonna lie.
It's just that you use your lipstick as blush.
Oh God, I could not do that. I have no makeup talent whatsoever. Yeah, nothing at all. I've been putting eyeliner on since I was, I don't know, 14. And ever since then, if I don't put eyeliner on and I think, no, do you know what? Sod it. I'm not putting eyeliner on today. I'm just going to go
my own person. I'm not governed by
my own woman. If I want to rub my eyes in the car, then I will. and I do think that. And then before I walk out the door, I catch myself in the mirror and I think, oh my God, my eyes look really piggy. Do you know what I mean? Like my eyes look
dead today.
Yeah, my eyes look proper piggy if I don't put eyeliner on. So I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I get in my car and I sit on and drive with the engine running. And I look in the rearview mirror and I think, hello, pig. And I'm like, sake. Turn the car off, get out, come back in. Put the eyeliner on. go back out and I'm like, ooh. And then I instantly need to rub my eye.
I know.
And I think
That's
if
the
I
thing.
just left myself with my pig eyes, I'd have been all right. I could have rubbed away.
I think Josie always says this. She's always like, I said, oh, you look really beautiful today. And she goes, I'm wearing makeup. I'm like, makeup doesn't change your face, does it? It might clean the blemishes, but it's like, it doesn't actually change like your face unless you're like a proper contour. Some people proper changes their face, doesn't it?
I think one day I'm going to get Jess to do my full makeup, and then I'll come online, and then you can be like, where's Kate? And I'll be like, I'm stepping in for her today.
Yeah.
I mean, she has done my makeup in the past, but it, wasn't a success. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
hideous.
That would be the same for me. My face doesn't suit a face of makeup.
No, you did your witch makeup good at Halloween.
Yeah, I'm really good at like special effects makeup. If I was going out like Halloween makeup, I can smash.
All right, well, you're in the right place, aren't you? Because that's what we do.
Right.
So I'm going to give you an introduction to what the
we need to do random blams done. We haven't even said done yet.
All right, done.
Out of practice, you haven't done it for a week. You've forgotten the whole rules of the podcast.
All the rules are out the window.
Rambling on.
All the windows are open because it's so fucking hot, and all the rules have flown out. All the flies have come in. Rules have gone out. So all right. Well, random blam's done. I'm going to say trigger warning now, because if I don't, I shall forget. I will be discussing dead children, which is horrible. Only a little bit of that, but I mean the whole episode predominantly centers around it, so I can't get around it. And there is some talk of violence and rape, but not much. So if you don't want to risk hearing that, skip to the end. So I'm just going to set the scene so that you can get yourself ready, and then I'll play the theme music. So, setting the scene, Anatoly Moskvin's House of Horrors, or Doll's House. So, hideous. So you walk into a cluttered little Russian flat. Walls are lined with dusty books. The stale smell of chemicals is in the air. But then you see them. Life-sized dolls, child-sized dolls, dressed in bright clothes, sat upright on the chairs, the beds, and even on the floor. And then the horror hits you. They're not dolls. They are dead children, mummified, preserved, and decorated. And this isn't fiction. This is a true story of Anatoly Moskvin, a genius linguist, historian, and grave robber, a man who lived with the corpses of 26 little girls, believing that he was giving them a new life. This one's dark and disturbing, so get your ears ready, and I'll tell you all about it. Morning.
So I'm just going to stop you there, right? That just reminded me.
I was on the school run. Yet.
No, I know. Well, stop. I was on the school run the other morning with Josie, and one of the mums walked past us. We kind of just know her, like we've seen her at like the football events and things like that, and had a little chat. I don't even know her name, but she walked past and she went, "Morning." And me and Josie just looked at each other and went, "Does she listen to the podcast?
Is she a podder?
Morning.
Are you listening now?"
Oh, I don't know. She just went morning, and I was like, but she must do. No one else says that.
You should have gone morning, and seen if she turned around and went, "It is you."
I know. I said to Josie I should have done that, but my brain doesn't work that way. So
no, you were lost in the wonders of morning.
Yeah. It's like morning.
Morning.
Anyway, so carry on now.
All right. Well, carry on. I'll start. So, as I said before the intro, this is a story of Anatoly Moskvin. He was born in 1966 in Gorky, Russia, and it is now known as Nizhny Novgorod.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I'll try and say it as minimal as possible because I'm pretty sure I've got that wrong. He was a gifted child. Absolutely no doubt about it. He was like a child genius. He spoke multiple languages. He was obsessed with history and folklore. He was a bit of a loner. He was teased and bullied at school. Later in life, he called himself a necropolist.
No.
Which is a term he used for people obsessed with cemeteries and the dead. So we're part necropolist.
I'm not obsessed with cemeteries or the dead.
If I see a cemetery, I do have to go and walk around and look.
I do like to go and have a butcher's, actually.
Oh, there you go. His childhood, he would walk home from school alone. He would walk through quiet, lonely streets and woodlands. And one day, when he was just 8 years old, he was walking alone, as usual. It was around sunset, so it was starting to get a little bit dark. And he saw a man sort of, well, I say, standing. He was lurking by the edge of the woods. The man called to Anatoly and sort of beckoned him to come over. And he said something along the lines of, oh, come and look at this. And he was pointing to something on the forest floor. Anatoly he was freaked out by this man, but he was also really curious. So he kind of gingerly crept over to the man. And as he got close to the man, this man lunged at him and grabbed him and pulled him into the woods. He brutally attacked Anatoly and raped him. Anatoly never spoke of this event until he was like well into his 50s. It's unclear from what I've researched as to whether his parents knew anything about it, but apparently he used to get bullied quite a lot at school. And this is just my thoughts behind it, because they said that he came home sort of bruised and battered one day, like with loads of bruises all over him. And apparently this was when he got attacked and raped. I think it's possible that because he used to get bullied and sort of shoved around a lot at school, maybe his parents just put it down to that. But there was certainly no investigation about it. And Anatoly said, like I said, in his 50s, when he told about this event, he said, I've never spoken about this before until this day. At the age of 12, some sources say that he was 13. Some sources have said that he was 11. So I've put his age as 12. Seems fair. He claimed that the following event that I'm going to tell you about was the event that truly changed him. And he says that it could possibly be the event that led to everything else that happens. But he said that this was the defining moment. It definitely changed him as a person. So again, he was wandering the streets on his own. And he came by a house where he could see sort of inside the downstairs window, like the living room window or something. And he could see several men that were all standing around a very small coffin. And they were holding candles and singing in a foreign language. Anatoly was instantly curious. And he watched on, and he very quickly became sort of quite scared and freaked out by this. He felt like he'd taken his curiosity too far, and it creeped him out, really, really creeped him out. He was aware, he was a smart kid, so he was aware that this was not just a normal sort of funeral or wake or something like that. He knew that this was like some kind of dark ceremony. And he thought, sod this, I'm out of here. So he sort of turned to run away. But one of the men had seen him peeking in through the window, and he'd come out to Anatoly without him realizing. And he grabbed Anatoly before he could run away and took him into the room where the coffin was. The men then told Anatoly that he must kiss the face of the dead girl. And Anatoly looked into the coffin, and he saw a very small girl who looked to be around the same age as him. And he was right. This was, in fact, 11-year-old Natasha Petrova, who had died when she reached for a towel whilst stepping out of the bath and had accidentally touched a live wire. And she was electrocuted and died instantly. Anatoly was forced by these men to kiss the face of the dead girl. Anatoly did not want to at all. He began to cry and he refused. But they forced him to. And when I say forced, they literally pushed his face down into Natasha's face and said, you need to kiss her face. And he did. And apparently he did it 3 times. And he said that he remembers that her face was cold and waxy. Natasha's mother was also present, along with Natasha's father. Natasha's mother brought over 2 brass rings, and she placed one of the rings on Anatoly's finger. And she instructed him to place the other one on Natasha's finger. Anatoly was now sobbing. He was really, really scared, really freaked out by all of this. But he did as Natasha's mother had asked, and he put the ring on Natasha's finger. And Anatoly said that the whole scene had suddenly changed from something funeral / ceremony wise, sort of into like something that was like a wedding. And he said that, you know, my corpse bride lay quietly in her coffin in front of me. Anatoly was then given a basket of fruit and some money, just a few rubles. And he was told to not speak of this to anyone for at least 40 days. As soon as he was allowed to leave, he ran. When he stopped running, he threw the fruit into the snow that was everywhere. And he went to the nearest shop with his few rubles to spend his money, his wedding money. And he bought a book about animals. Anatoly had many, many nightmares about this encounter. In fact, he began to have these nightmares every night. He claimed that Natasha would visit him and speak to him. She told him that the only way that he could get Natasha to move on was to learn black magic. And she said, don't worry, I can teach you. He didn't want to. And he said, no, thank you. But the nightmares just continued. And Natasha kept coming to him and kept coming to him. And he said that he was unable to get any proper sleep. He would try and keep himself awake just so that he didn't have these nightmares or visitations. So eventually he performed some kind of ritual as directed by Natasha. And he said that he never saw her again after that. He later said that this moment bound him to the dead. That his words. He became fascinated by Celtic burial traditions, mummification, and Egyptian tombs, all through his early teens. Uh, Later on, he studied at Moscow State University, where he earned multiple degrees, not just your normal one degree. He got multiple. He apparently spoke 27 different languages fluently. He worked as a linguist, a philologist, and a folklore researcher. He wrote articles. Cool. Yeah, it's quite cool actually. I'd actually like to speak to him if he hadn't like done all this, but he would actually have been quite an interesting, educated person. But he wrote articles for historical journals. He was even respected in academic circles until his side hobby was exposed, of course. But he became obsessed with books and learning. He would read and read and read and read. He loved learning. In fact, when his flat was investigated and taken apart, I suppose, he actually had over 60,000 books just on like religion, burial ceremonies, tribal cults, things like that. But he had a load more books, but just on like different subjects. Over 60,000 books just on that one subject is crazy. But this obsession absolutely took hold of him. He was just obsessed about learning about the occult. He became consumed with it. That's pretty much all he'd do was read and learn. He would start to miss work. He'd start to sort of miss shifts at work, things like that. And he would just spend time reading, writing articles for books and magazines. And they were good articles. And he would get paid for most of them. Somehow he got himself a girlfriend. And I use that term loosely. She was his girlfriend, but they weren't physical at all. They said that they were boyfriend and girlfriend, but there was no intimacy, no physical relationship at all. One day she went to Anatoly and she said, I think we should have a baby. I really want a baby. And Anatoly was overjoyed. He was desperate to have a child. He loved the idea of being a father and being a very good father and being able to teach his child everything that he'd learned. And so he was like, yep, I'm definitely down for that. Let's have a child. And she was like, great, let's go to the bedroom. And he was like, ew, no, thank you. And she was like, well, what do you mean? You said we were going to have a child, we're going to have a baby. And he was like, yeah, but not like that. That's scusties.
Scusties.
Yeah, I don't want to get involved in scusties. Thank you. No, definitely not. No, thank you. So she was like, okay, well, what we're going to do then? Because we both really want a child. And he was like, no problem. We'll adopt. She was like, okay, fine. So he then started the adoption process, and he was well educated. So he knew that he would need to get these forms and he would need to do this and he would need to do that. So he got it all in motion. However, his earnings were so sporadic because he was writing these articles and then he would like get paid a sort of a big sum of money, and then he would go out and he would buy a couple of thousand books, and that money would then go, and he was like, oh, can't really sort of pay for my bills and my rent and things like that. So his parents were like, fine, we'll subsidize you, we'll help you out. So he was he just he was very clever, but he just wasn't very clever with money. So and everyone that knew him kind of just knew that he was just very weird. He was just very strange. So ultimately, the adoption came back denied. Shortly after this, his girlfriend left, and it was, from what I've looked up, it was like he'd barely noticed. Do you know what I mean? Like head stuck in a book, and she was like,
yeah.
"I'm leaving," and he was like, "Okay, bye."
See you tomorrow.
Whilst reading his book, yeah, bye. See you tomorrow. Bye. She was like, "Bastard," that's the image I have in my head anyway. Was that he kind of barely acknowledged that she'd finished with him and left, and he was like, "Okay, well now I've got more time for my books, my studies, and my publications." Anatoly became known in his town for roaming the cemeteries at night. He said that he used to document the gravestones and the epitaphs. He would write all about these graveyards, all about the people that were in these graveyards, what the gravestones look like, the difference between the gravestones. He was absolutely obsessed with it. And he started writing a column called Necrologies. Necrologies. And basically it chronicled the dead, preserving graveyards and like graveyard histories. He would carry a flashlight, or a torch, as we call it over here. He would carry a flashlight, a notebook, and even sometimes he would sleep on the graves. And he said that this was so that he could hear the spirits, because he felt sure that they would talk to him. And the locals just thought he was eccentric but harmless. They didn't think anything of it really. They just thought, yeah, he's a bit of a weirdo that kind of creeps around the graveyards, and sometimes, if you're out walking your dog or something, you'll see him asleep on one of the graves or something. It's just a bit odd. He claims that he visited 752 cemeteries all across Russia, and he would often leave behind notes at children's graves, and he would sign them Little Gnome. Later, he admitted that he felt called by the voices of the dead, specifically young girls asking to be saved. He very quickly became obsessed with the idea of rescuing souls, as he calls it, from cold, dark graves. He felt like it was a disservice to the souls of these children to be laying for all eternity in the cold, wet ground. And he believed that dead children could be brought back to life through science or black magic eventually. He saw himself not as a criminal, but as a savior of children. In 2011, which is why I remember this case, the police were investigating in Anatoly's area. They were looking for the culprit who had been desecrating the graves of Muslims who had been buried in the area. When they spoke to locals, Anatoly's name came up time and time again, because everyone knew that he was the graveyard man. He was the guy that hung around graveyards. And they told the police he even sleeps there too. So he very quickly became their prime suspect. He was strange enough to the police that they said, something's not right. Possible like terrorism thing, like some sort of hate crime on a bigger level, possibly that kind of thing. So they thought if he's targeting Muslims' graves, then this could be our guy, and it could be leading up to something bigger. So they said, right, we're going to do a full raid on his home. So they did. So inside his flat, amongst all these thousands and thousands and thousands of books, they found more than 60 life-size dolls. 26 of them were just a little bit stranger than the others. And one of the officers said that when he picked up one of these dolls, it kind of rattled inside, like there was something in there. And he thought, I better check that in case it's something a bit naughty that's been hidden. And when they looked into the faces of these dolls, they saw what Anatoly had been doing for the last several years. These 26 dolls were actually the human remains of children. They were dressed in girls' clothing with makeup on, ribbons, and even music boxes embedded in their chests. And yes, you heard that right. Some of the girls had music boxes sewn inside their torsos. Moskvin said that it was to help wake her spirit. But some people feel like it was so that he would get some kind of response when he moved them. Like he would move them and this tune would play, or, you know, a little child's voice would sort of play on, you know, and they think it was possibly that he could have had some kind of noise from them, you know, or if he jogged them or something, you know, and one of them would suddenly just sort of start playing a little voice message or something, you know, and he'd then sort of go, oh, what did you say? What was that? You know, and have that interaction. And I do actually think it's more to do with that rather than waking their spirit. He wrapped their hands in cloth to keep their hands from falling off. He applied wax to their faces, and the dolls were seated around his flat. Sometimes they were placed as if they were watching television, or they were sat round a table with birthday hats on, like they were having a birthday party. He used salt, baking soda, and industrial preservatives and a lot of herbs to mummify them. He had read multiple books, and I mean like hundreds of books on ancient mummification techniques. And he combined that with DIY embalming knowledge, because he also had a plethora of books on embalming and the embalming process. Some corpses had, and I hate referring to them as corpses, but I don't want to acknowledge that they were actual little children, but I mean, they were, so. But some of them had been like this for more than 10 years. He claimed that he spoke to them. They would watch cartoons together. They would celebrate their birthdays. They would celebrate holidays. They would all sit together at Christmas time, things like that. He knew each one of their names. He had a big calendar with all their birthdays on. And he claims that he never committed any kind of sexual act. This has been wildly debated because I do believe that it's people's kind of go-to to think that it's a sexually motivated thing. But I genuinely believe that it wasn't a sexual thing. He told the police, "You all abandoned these girls. I brought them home. I brought them into the warmth." I think he just generally saw himself as like a father figure. And I think that's what he was doing. He was fathering them. You know, he would watch cartoons with them, and then he would pick them up gently and carry them into, like a bedroom or somewhere where he'd made like a makeshift bed, and he would lay them down and pull a blanket up over them, and he would sit and
care
read.
for them.
Yeah, he would read stories to them. Anyway, so obviously he was arrested. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. He was also declared legally unfit to stand trial, and he was sent to a psychiatric hospital indefinitely. Some argue that he was fully aware of what he was doing and he was just hiding the bodies in plain sight. I do think that's true, but I mean, you can still do that and be paranoid schizophrenic. The parents of the exhumed girls were devastated. One mother saw her daughter's photo on the news, dressed in a new outfit, sitting in Anatoly's flat, and she knew straight away. Some remains had been missing for nearly a decade before being found in his flat. One girl's parents saw a doll on the news that really looked like their daughter. And this for me was honestly was just the saddest part of it. But their daughter had been murdered 10 years earlier, and her murder had been so brutal and violent that only one part of her body had been recovered and was able to be put in her coffin and buried. So she wasn't even like all there. And they saw her little face on the news. Their hearts just broke all over again. So they spoke to the authorities and they said, we think our daughter might have been one of the girls that he took. So they said, okay, we'll go and exhume her coffin and see. When they got there, the grave looked completely untouched. There was plants and flowers and that growing there, and they thought maybe it's not. But they exhumed her coffin and it was indeed empty. They had been visiting their daughter's grave every day for the last 10 years, and she had not even been in there.
So how did he get the body if she was only part of her was buried?
Well, he just took the part that was in there and built onto the rest of it. It didn't specifically say what part, but I mean, it must have been, head and shoulders and some of her torso, I guess. But so she'd been taken out of her coffin shortly after her burial, some 10 years before, and Moskvin had taken her to his flat. And what he would do is he would choose who he was going to take, and he would dig them up, normally quite soon after they'd been buried, but not in all cases. But he would take them out, and then he would take them somewhere dry, and he would leave them there for a undisclosed amount of time, so that he could sort of spend time with them. He used to go and sleep next to them, but he would, because like I said, some of them had only recently died. So he would take them so that the body could dry out. And he would leave them there so that they could sort of, I suppose, essentially sort of mummify in the weather, and dry out. And then he would take them to his flat. I do feel that this was potentially in case the grave was noticed to be empty, and then if they sort of said, well, let's try and find her, and then they would find them, in the woods somewhere or something, they could just put it down to something odd, but it wouldn't be tied to him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he didn't say that. He said it was purely so that he could dry them out. Russia erupted into media chaos. Debates over mental health, criminal justice, and cemetery security was everywhere. Books and even podcasts started cropping up. There's been the odd podcast about Anatoly, although not many, because I was looking to obviously listen to some to see if there was more on this that I could find out. Yeah, not many at all. So we are one of the only podcasts that have done this, to my knowledge, anyway. Where is he now? As of 2024, he is still in a psychiatric facility. In 2020, doctors controversially petitioned for his release and said he should be able to live in outpatient care. But this was denied. I think that's wise. So this was a story about a brilliant man. There's no doubt about it. He was a brilliant brained man. And he just went down the wrong path. He really did. He believed that rescuing children was, taking them back to his flat and caring for them. And in fact, interestingly enough, one of the fathers of one of the girls said, I have got no hatred, no animosity towards Anatoly Moskvin. He cared and did more for my daughter in death than I did while the whole time she was alive. So I've got no issues with him. He cared, he was loving, he was caring. He, got her new clothes, he brushed her hair, he read her stories, he watched television with her. I never did any of that. So, but for the most part, the parents did not feel that way. So this is a case that raises questions like, what counts as insanity? He was labeled as being insane, but was he? Well, I don't know. Was he? When does obsession go too far? I mean, this, in my book, I do believe that there was some level of insanity there. Morals, that definitely comes into play as number one. And yeah, he was obsessed with saving. He wanted to save these children's souls. He felt that they were calling out to him, that they were speaking to him and saying, I'm scared, I'm lonely, I'm in the ground, it's cold. You've got to take me, you've got to save me, and that. So he was like, well, I will. I can't abandon these children. Their parents and their loved ones have abandoned them. Don't know. But what I did learn from this story is we, like a lot of our cases, we never truly know what someone is capable of. Even if they seem like the quiet bookworm type, these monsters could be reading quietly in the next room or out in the garden. Sarah, what do you think?
So in terms of, this is going to go quite deep, actually.
Good.
But
I like it.
So it's quite similar to the Count von Kossel story. Now,
he's referred to a lot in this.
E.T. because he was a very intelligent man. Yeah. He studied medicine and he felt like he was doing the right thing by his beloved. But also there's that element of he must have been mentally ill in some way to believe that her spirit was talking to him, or that he could keep the body alive and things like that. So there must have been an element of mental illness there.
Well, but possibly. But then, to be fair, I do believe that the spirits are able to converse with people if we're on the right wavelength as them, or
so where this is going to get deep is that I feel like he was obsessed. The same as Count von Kossel was obsessed with this woman.
Yeah.
Obsession is similar to addiction.
Yeah.
So they were addicted to these things. He was addicted to learning about grave robbing and whatever else. He was addicted to going and sleeping at graves and whatever else.
Yeah.
Now, some people think that addiction is a mental health illness. Would you say that, for instance, paedophiles were mentally ill, or are they addicts because they are addicted to what they're addicted to, and they can't help themselves?
I get the addicts thing, but I think to even start to be addicted to something, you need to have that initial, like Claire said to me about trying spicier food, and because I've always been like, oh no, I can't have anything spicy. But I was like, do you know what? I'm going to try it. But I had to have that want to try it. And now that I have tried it, I feel quite addicted to having things that are a little bit spicier and a little bit spicier. But I have to have that initial, it can't just come from obsession, is what I'm saying. Like you have to have that want in the first place to get a tattoo. You have to want to get a tattoo. You don't, wouldn't just get a tattoo if you didn't want to get a tattoo and then become obsessed with getting more and more and more tattoos.
Yeah, but then, so even if he wanted to learn about graves, he wanted to sleep on the graves and things like that, and became addicted to learning about it, I think that it doesn't matter whether there was that want there or not.
Oh no, you said about paedophiles. You said about paedophiles, and you said, is it an addiction, or is it
mental health?
Yeah, or is it like an illness, a mental illness?
Yeah.
I don't think it can be just like that they're obsessed. I think they are I think they are mentally ill. I think they've got something that makes them attracted to young children, and then they become like, it becomes an obsession.
Would you say that lesbians are mentally ill?
Because most of them, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have an attraction to something else.
No, and that's not something that's different. It's not something that's forbidden. Like, we're not predators. Do you know what I mean? We're not like,
but that's where it's
forcing ourselves on other women and things like that. Whereas paedophiles are ill because it's something that is not okay. It's not a consensual thing.
It's not their choice that it's not okay. So they've got this...
I didn't say it was their fault, but I do think it's an illness.
So I disagree, because I don't think, I mean, we've gotten off track a little bit, but I think it stems from an obsession and an addiction. So I don't think he was mentally ill. I think he had an addiction to doing what he did, and he believed he was doing the right thing.
Yeah, he thought he was a saviour.
Yeah, I don't think he is mentally ill. I don't think he probably had, what did they say, schizophrenia and things
like that. Paranoid schizophrenia, yeah.
Don't think he had that. I think he had an addiction. And I think especially when an addiction or an obsession is forbidden and it's frowned upon, that's where the line becomes blurred. Because can you imagine so say, for instance, like sugar, everybody is addicted to sugar. Okay. Mm-hmm. If it was illegal to eat sugar, people would find a way around it.
Yeah.
And they would do that, knowing that they broke the law, knowing that it was illegal. But does that make them mentally ill? No.
No.
And that's the same, I think, with...
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't believe that he was mentally ill. Mm. I think he saw it as his calling in life. And I think he thought, it's my duty as a human being to rescue these girls.
Yeah. I think
and
the
bring them
experience that
here.
he had from a young age probably altered his brain chemistry and how he viewed things.
Yeah.
Which is probably, I think if those things hadn't have happened to him, then he probably wouldn't have got this.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, that that was too. There's a lot of debate about whether those two things happened.
mm-hmm.
However, for the sake of argument, if they did happen, how horrendous. Alone at the age of 8, and he was brutally attacked by a man in the woods. And then by his account, he dealt with it himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then just a few short years later, he was, dragged into a sort of funeral type setting, or
Wedding.
or yeah, whatever it was. And forced to kiss the face of a young dead girl. And I think if those two things did happen, that was horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was a bad man. I think he did bad things with good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not advocating what he did at all. And if it was my child that he'd done that to, I would want to be the cause of his death. Like, I would be so full of rage. So I completely get it. But looking at it in black and white, I do. I think he was a good person, and he just got it wrong, and he hurt people, really, really hurt people.
I think if you asked him now to look back on his decisions, he'd probably say, yeah, no, that probably wasn't the right thing to do. Because when you're in that situation where you are tunnel visioned and this is what I'm going to do, these are the reasons that I'm doing it for, that I'm doing a really good thing, and he's got his blinkers on because he's in this world. He's got thousands and thousands of books, and they're all saying probably the same thing, and it's confirmation bias. What I'm doing is good. What I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm a good person, and he's doing it because there's no outside source going, well, actually, on the flip side, probably you shouldn't do it. But now that he's out of that situation, he probably would not do that, and probably look back and be like, oh, shouldn't have done that. So I don't think he was mentally ill. I think he was a man obsessed.
Yeah. I think he had no other focus. He had nothing else. If he'd have already kind of like got married, and maybe if he'd just had sex with his girlfriend
and had his little baby,
give himself a different hobby. Focus on having sex and being a good husband, and having a baby and things like that. I think it maybe we never would have heard of him, or maybe we would have done, but it would have read one of his books that he'd written, and and things like that. But I just think he was far too on his own, and his books and his learning was all he had. But I completely agree with you. I think the same thing. I don't think he was mentally ill. I just think he was morally wrong. But I think his intentions were good. But I don't think he can be like labeled anywhere close to like the monster of the morgue. And I mean, the monster in the morgue, God, that story still disturbs me. So for anyone listening, if you haven't heard the episode of Monster in the Morgue, listen to that, because it's sick. And Sarah told it really well, but it's proper creepy, that one.
Well, this story I think was a listener request, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I meant to say that at the beginning. Actually, who was it that?
I think it was Emily.
Oh, was it Emily? Oh, thanks, Emily.
Requested bought us coffees as a bribe to do the story, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, thank you. I've got my other coffee. Thanks. Yeah, really intriguing. But Emily, can you let us know what you think? What do you think about Anatoly Moskvin? Do you think he was mentally ill or just a bit of a weirdo? Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
gonna.
before we go,
Oh,
we do need to do some shout outs.
shit.
Shout outs. We normally do these at the beginning, but the intro is incredibly long, so we'll do these at the end.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
So let's shout out first. We've got 2 new subscribers that have joined the Blamily.
Woohoo!
And the first shout out goes to Steph. And
Hey, Steph.
Hey, Steph. Steph actually lives about 4 doors away from me.
Oh.
She's finally taken the plunge and joined our little Blamily. So the second shout out is also to another subscriber. Thank you for joining us, and that is to Kate.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh no, not me.
Not
Another.
you.
Kate. Thanks, Kate. Thank you.
If you were a bit confused about our episode last time, and where we mentioned that we're going to be releasing 4 episodes still, 1 a week in the month, but one of those episodes is going to be a Blam episode. It's going to be subscriber only.
It's going to be a full episode.
It'll be a completely full episode we've done today. If you aren't subscribed, unfortunately you won't be able to listen to that one, but all the others will be available. But if you are subscribed, you'll be able to listen to that one as you normally would any of the other Blam episodes. So
yep. And if you've only just subscribed, then you will not just get instant access to the Blams unless you follow the link that they email you. Yes. That's right, isn't it? So you subscribe, then you get an email.
Click on the link of the podcast
app
that you listen on, and then it has to go to like a separate feed.
It's we get quite a few of our subscribers will contact us just after they've subscribed and be like, I still can't access it, and it's not something that just happens automatically. You have to go on the email link and do it like that. But and then you're good. Once you've done that, you're good.
Good.
But
yeah, otherwise, thank you very much.
Thanks, girls. Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Steph.
Thank you.
Nice to have you with us. And next week will be such a Blam episode.
Yeah.
So if you haven't subscribed, you won't be able to hear next week's episode.
Yep.
And I'm told it's going to be an episode that you don't want to miss.
No, and this actually as well was a listener request.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I didn't realise that, but yeah.
I don't look at any of our messages, so I wouldn't even know what it was.
Yep. Well, I'm not going to spoil it. You'll see next week.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You get out there and carry on reading and sunbathing.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, you've earned it. You've been to work. You've been everywhere. So, yeah. All right.
See you next week.
Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
If you have enjoyed listening to our episodes, make sure you rate us and leave us a review on whatever platform you are listening.
We absolutely love hearing from you guys. So you can also help support our show by donating to our Buy Me a Coffee link. We will make sure that you get a massive shout out and a big thank you in our next week's episode.
You can also follow us on social media at Perplexed Podcasts. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and if you want to see more videos and blooper reels, subscribe to our TikTok and YouTube channels.
You can also email us your stories at perplexedpodcasts@gmail.com.
And you can find all the relevant links in the episode descriptions. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.